Hello everyone, and welcome to this MCS present video for November 25 and February 26 exam sitting. In this session, I'll introduce you to what you can expect, and I'll also share a selection of clips from our tutors and our partners at FinnTutors who've started cooperating with us for this sitting. Here's what this video will cover. First, we'll begin with a quick refresher on the MCS exam, your role as a finance manager, and what the examiners are looking for. Then we'll move into the company overview. You'll see some carefully chosen extracts from FinnTutors' detailed videos, giving you a sense of the company background. After that, we look into the industry context, and finally, we'll cover some topic-based analysis from our tutors, this time from the MCS perspective. So what we'll cover will be from V2 perspective, we'll focus on total quality management, so TQM, and target costing. From E2, we'll look into teams. And from F2, we'll cover work, business, and intangible assets. These are short extracts taken from our longer videos in our full course, designed to give you the first taste of the kind of analysis we'll go deeper into. And just to highlight what makes this presentation particularly exciting, for the first time in CIMA history, the presentation includes a sustainability report. That's a clear signal of how important sustainability is becoming in management accounting. And it adds an extra dimension to how you should approach this case. So, have your presentation document ready? Follow along with the extracts and take notes as you go. This video is designed to give you a strong starting point to your MCS preparation and show you exactly where to focus next.
In this video, we're going to have a look at the CIMA Case Study exams, exactly what they are and what's expected of you in these exams. Case study exams are very different from the OT exams that you sit at each level. CIMA conducted some research before they last revised their syllabus, and it came through very strongly from employers that what they wanted from their accountants were two things. They wanted them to be technically strong, and that is what the OT exams are designed to test. But they also wanted accountants to be able to function well in the workplace, which is more than just being technically strong. It's their ability to communicate, to recognise and appreciate issues and come up with practical, work-based, commercially astute advice. And this is what the case study is trying to replicate. It's a work-based simulation. So it is not in any way trying to retest the OT exams that you've passed already. It's about putting you in context and seeing if you can function at an appropriate level in the organisation. The management case study is a role play where you are playing a finance manager. So you are elevated up a level from the operational case study. The people you're likely to be writing to in the management case study will include senior people like the Chief Financial Officer or Finance Director, senior business managers, and potentially non-financial senior business managers at that. Common sort of simulations that you could expect to see in this management case study would be collaboration between different functions across different departments to make decisions concerning investments, product development and pricing. The operational case, you may recall, focused on short-term decision-making. We're now moving into medium-term decisions when it comes to the management case. And once again, here we're using technology to translate long-term strategies that the board have decided upon, translating those into medium-term tactical goals. The involvement of the production of consolidated financial statements could also be examined. For example, financial reporting standards and how they apply in a certain situation could come up in the exam. And once again, ethics will play a part. Maybe the ethics associated with some of the medium-term decisions that are being made. So, in a little bit more detail then. So you will be playing the role of a finance manager now, with responsibility for monitoring and implementing strategy, focusing on the medium term. So you'll start off with a long-term strategy. That's already been decided in the management case. Just so you know what's coming, you'll be involved in deciding on that long-term strategy when it comes to the strategic case later on. But for our purposes here, that long-term strategy is being decided at the board level, and we are translating those long-term goals into steps along the way. So medium-term tactical goals, using technology to give us information to help us evaluate business opportunities and implement cyber technologies to help improve business processes and create value in the organisation. So with this paper, as with every other paper in the qualification, technology and the information and use of that information with big data and data analytics is very much at the heart of everything that we do. So you will need to collaborate with people from both within finance and other disciplines. And collaborating with people from other disciplines gives us an important point here, that when we're writing to people who are not finance professionals, we need to be mindful of the fact that they aren't aware of a lot of the concepts that we talk about. So you have to be prepared to explain what you mean in terms that they're going to be able to understand. And the kinds of decisions you might be making would include investments in projects, developing new products, pricing products. All these kinds of things involve input from people from all over the business. The responsibilities would require a sound understanding of the business environment. Now, as you graduate up through the CIMA qualification, increasingly you are being positioned as an internal business partner and a business advisor. So increasingly, the case studies are testing your commercial abilities, your professional abilities, your business acumen, and so on. And at this level, we're looking at understanding the context that the business is in and thinking about how that context affects what's required in the business. It could involve considerations of a digital ecosystem, so how we relate to our business environment and ecosystem using digital technology. The manager here, that's you, is required to measure and report on the performance of individuals and divisions in that particular context. You will be asked to give an opinion on things like business risks. So you might be asked, how serious is this? And you need to, one of the good things about that is that there are various right answers there. But what you need to be able to do is reply convincingly. So you need to explain your logic behind your thoughts. The finance manager will also be involved in the accounting decisions that affect the preparation and content of consolidated financial statements. So group accounts comes in at this level. It will also involve the exercise of professional judgment. Recommendations and decisions can have significant impact on both internal and external decision makers. If you're advising on medium-term decisions like investments in new products, then that can have a significant impact on the performance of the business. Strong communication skills are required. And remember, the case study is trying to test your ability to operate in the real workplace. So the words you use, the logic of your argument, all those things are very important now. The need to inform key decisions may raise significant ethical dilemmas. Ethics comes in every single case study. Whether it's, should we be investing in this product, or maybe this will damage our reputation? It's those kinds of issues as far as the business is concerned. But there is often also personal and professional ethics being examined here. So in other words, you may well need to apply the CIMA ethical framework. Now, there are 5 core activities being assessed in the management case study. You need to evaluate opportunities to add value. So that can involve things like investment appraisal of capital projects. Implement senior management decisions. So take those long-term plans and translate them into medium-term plans. Manage performance and costs to aid value creation. You'll notice that D is measure performance. So C and D together is understanding what performance is and then what we need to do to improve it. So there's a commercial angle when you combine those two together. And then thinking about things from a range of different stakeholder needs. So it's not just about shareholders. We may need to think about customers, suppliers, employees, any stakeholders in the organization could need to be considered. The good news is, though, when you pass the management case study, you are awarded the Advanced Diploma in Management Accounting, so next step up from the operational level. Now, the management case study, you'll be given some pre-scene that's released a few weeks before the real exam, and that will give you background on a particular industry. Now, the idea is you can expect somewhere between 20 and 30 pages there. It will tell you about a particular industry and a particular company within that industry. There will be articles, reports, emails, extracts of financial statements, all kinds of things to get everyone up to the same starting point as they walk into the real exam. Be careful with this pre-scene. It's important to analyse it. It's important to think, what is this telling me? But what you shouldn't do is spend your entire preparation period before the exam analysing that pre-scene to death and sort of finding out every single possible thing you can about that industry in the real world. Because at the end of the day, you're not expected to be an absolute industry expert in that particular industry. But the purpose of the pre-scene is to give you the industry information you need to set you up for the real exam. Now, most of the tasks that are given to you in the exam actually reflect some new information that's given to you on the day. And pre-scene is very much about the background. Now, yes, you need to understand that pre-scene. And for example, you might need to do some analysis on some of the financial statements that are within it from a point of view of understanding some of the messages within those financial statements. But you don't need to go overboard. We'll talk about this more later on, but the main thrust of your preparation time should be spent practicing questions based on the real pre-scene. But we'll come back to that later on. The management case is split into 4 45-minute sections. Each one is equally weighted score-wise, and each section will have several subtasks within it. So you'll be given some new information, sometimes known as unseen or trigger information, on the day. And then within that information, you'll be asked to do several things. Each subtask can examine more than one syllabus area. And they quite often bridge even different papers. So there could be an element of E and an element of P within a subtask, for example. Now, this next step is important. You can think of this exam as being 4 45-minute exams, because if you finish one section early, you can go on to the next section early, but you cannot bank that time. So if you finish the first section 5 minutes early, all that means is you're going to finish the exam 5 minutes early. So the key message here is there's no point in finishing a section early. If you've got a bit of spare time at the end, use that time to polish up, even if it's just making it look better on the screen, but no point in moving on early at all. You will be asked to reply in a variety of formats, and this reflects the fact that this is a work-based simulation. So it could be, for example, emails, memos, reports, briefing notes. It's useful to know the basic formats of these things. So, for example, with a report, we want to, from, subject, date, brief introduction, main body of the report, and then a conclusion and sign-off at the end. But what's very important to note here is the tone of the of your answers. So if you're writing a memo or an email, they are often internally focused, so won't be as formal as a report, for example. And that is your ability to communicate appropriately in the right format is also being tested here, because that's part of your ability to function well in the real world. You're given some word processor type software to use. Practice using that software on the CIMA website. It is a word processor, but it's restricted in terms of its functionality compared to some other word processors you might be used to using. So I would suggest when you are practicing questions, do it as much as you can in the real exam software, and let's say that's available for you to have a play with on the CIMA website. There aren't any detailed calculations in this exam. The detailed calculations are tested as part of the OTs, so you're not likely to be hammering away on your calculator in this exam. It's not to say you won't be working with numbers, but it's more likely that you'll be given some numbers that you need to talk about. So you might be given, for example, an investment appraisal that someone else has prepared. You need to interpret it maybe, talk about the assumptions that have gone into it, talk about the implications and maybe some of the non-financial considerations behind the investment proposal. It's all about interpretation. You will be given tables as standard, so present value, cumulative present value, and normal distribution tables are given to you, but it's very, very rare that in the real exam you will actually need to use them.
So we're starting with personal computers. Now, personal computers are designed for individual use, as the name suggests. They are generally designed for operation by an end user who may have little or no training in computing. PCs are used in both commercial and domestic settings. In the workplace, PCs can be used for a variety of tasks, including word processing, presentations. In home, PCs may be used for games and for emails. So personal computers and their use is being spoken of. They can be used without any training at a commercial setting. They're used for presentations at home, majorly for games and emails. So very clearly, I want to segment the market over here. As a business selling computers, I want to segment the market. My customers will be commercial use and domestic use. Let's be clear about that. So when I'm segmenting the market, using usage differences between commercial and home customers influence demand patterns and price sensitivity, affecting how companies use their pricing strategies. If you're selling to a commercial user, your pricing strategy will be different. If you're selling to a domestic user, your pricing strategy will be different. So by segmentation, your pricing strategy is becoming much more, let's say, understandable. In P2 itself, PCs have different functional uses, indicating products at various life cycle stages. If you think of the product life cycle, which impacts decisions on design upgrades, production volumes, cost planning. Deeper, we'll see the products that we offer, where they lie in the product life cycle. So I understand what to do with the product. Do I need to upgrade it? Do I need to produce it in volume? Do I need to control the cost? So here I'm listing down market segmentation, pricing strategy, product life cycle, and leases. Why? Because in commercial environments, majorly what I saw was many businesses lease PCs instead of purchasing, requiring correct accounting treatment for lessees and for lessors, which is in your IFRS 16. Let's move on. The retail market for personal computers focuses on the following product types. We already know this from our industry analysis, but we are going to go through this. First is desktop computers. So desktop consists of a system unit which uses the processor, data storage and other components. Very standard. Let's keep the image of a desktop in our mind. These can be large devices that are intended to sit on or below the user's deck. They require a mains connection for the electrical power. Desktops are needing electrical power. We know that. Desktop computers are usually operated using a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse. These can be plugged into the system, or nowadays they are wirelessly connected as well. Desktops are ideally suited for users who need to spend extended periods at their PCs. Their job is not moving around. If you have to just sit and punch in data, PCs might work, or let's say desktops might work. Large monitors make it easy to read text or to study graphics. It is also possible to position monitors and keyboards so that the user can operate the PC in comfort. So more a desktop is like an office setup where you have to sit for hours, you have to look at graphics, you have a bigger screen. It's more comfortable. At home, desktops are mainly used for gaming. So again, your segmentation will define your pricing decision. Are you selling it to gamers? Are you selling it to somebody sitting in an office? That will set your pricing. The price that you set will depend a lot on the end user in this market. Next, we have laptops. So laptops are more portable than desktop PCs, although they fulfill the same basic purpose. Purpose is the same. It's just that you can pick up the laptop and take it anywhere. Laptops have batteries that can be recharged by connecting them to the mains using a power adapter. They can also be operated on mains power as well. Some laptops are small and lightweight and can be carried easily. They can be used while commuting or taken on a business trip. Larger laptops are heavier and may not be convenient to carry, but obviously they will have a large screen, a better keyboard, so it's easier to operate. So with laptops, you'll always have the give and take. More portable, smaller, more easier to operate, larger. Users might choose larger laptops if they intend to use them primarily at home or at a desk. Laptops can be used for most tasks carried out on the desktop, although they offer less scope for arranging their screens and keyboards for user comfort. Because obviously the desktop screen, you can keep it at a distance. Keyboard, you can keep it near you. With laptop, it becomes, well, it's not that comfortable. For leisure purposes, their portability makes them suitable for watching streamed digital content. Very important nowadays. Laptops rarely have sufficient processing power to enable them to play the latest video games, but this is also changing. So again, laptops meet different customer needs. This shows market segmentation within laptops as well. You can have a different group of customers. Like within desktops, you have different customers for commercial use, for gaming. Within laptops also, you have those who prefer smaller, those who prefer larger. Because this again will very much decide your pricing decision. So these topics are being repeated but with different perspectives. Now, businesses and individuals have different price sensitivity. Important topic, sensitivity analysis, which impacts how companies position laptops in the market. Because when you are selling a refurbished product or a refurbished laptop in the market, you want to understand how sensitive your product is to changes in price. Price changes, what happens to the demand? That's sensitivity analysis. Or let's say if price changes, what happens to the NPV of a particular project? This is just an example that I'm giving. That's how sensitivity analysis can be tested in various scenarios, and I'll bring it up again as well. But over here, I found it relevant, so we are discussing it. Next, we have tablet computers. From our industry analysis, we are very aware that mini PCs, thin PCs, is where the large growth is happening. So tablets are smaller and lighter than laptops. They are used mainly for reading files and accessing the internet. They are also battery powered. Tablets will vary in size. As with laptops, there is trade-off between portability and comfort. You can have larger screens, but difficult to carry, heavier. You can have smaller screens, easier to carry. Tablets permit users to type text either through a touch screen or external keyboards can also be attached. They can also be used to stream digital entertainment. They are less powerful than laptops because they are generally unsuitable for playing large games. Although specific games are now released which are made for tablets only, showcasing how popular tablets have become. You have specific software, specific games for tablets only. This only happens when there is a large audience. Tablets are less versatile than desktops and laptops, but they can have some applications in the workspace. For example, assistants in large shops can be equipped with tablets that use the shop Wi-Fi to check for availability. So this, if you didn't figure out yet, we did the introduction and then we pretty much started with an industry background they're giving you about what personal computers are. because they know that, okay, you will have little knowledge about what personal computers industry will be like. So within the pre-scene itself, they're giving you an industry background, teaching you and telling you that personal computers include desktops, include laptops, include tablet computers. And it's to our advantage because it's helping us pinpoint important E2, P2, F2 revelations to the industry as a whole, where up until now we learned that segmentation, pricing strategy for each segment is going to be key. Same with tablets. This was a new innovation. This drove digital disruption, and this demonstrates how the business model changes. Earlier, we would be only selling desktops and laptops. If you're not selling tablet computers or tablets, which means that we in the refurbished market might be losing out, or in the new market might be losing out. So, tablets in personal versus business contexts illustrate value chain differences, because again, the value it delivers in a personal situation is different. The value it delivers in a, let's say, commercial perspective is also different. So that's with tablet computers. Now we have peripherals. A peripheral is essentially a device that can be connected to a PC. Personal computer, any device that can be connected to a personal computer is a peripheral. For example, monitor can be connected, a mouse can be connected, keyboard can be connected, printers can be connected, scanners, external hard drives, all of these are considered peripherals because they can be connected to a PC to expand its capabilities. Now, peripherals can be connected to PCs by cables. Desktops usually come with different types of sockets. Laptops have smaller cases, so they have usually fewer sockets. Tablets may only have one single socket. Some peripherals can be linked using wireless connections such as Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. There are now Wi-Fi mouses, Wi-Fi monitors, Wi-Fi printers, Wi-Fi scanners. So all of this is connected with a cable or it's connected by a Wi-Fi, but it's expanding the capability of your PC. Why is this important? Because again, remember, over here they're giving us the background of the personal computers market. So the background is being given, and later on when we start to speak about reset, we want to see which of these background products we are selling. Now, peripherals show how ecosystems form around core products. What is your core product? Desktop, PC or tablet. Around this, peripherals are key because they expand capabilities. It could be that maybe, let's say a situation can come up in the exam, just giving you a hypothetical situation, that the ecosystem of reset is now expanding. Now we are heading into manufacturing only peripherals because we see them as a value adding product and a fast growing segment. So firstly, we want to understand how this will affect our business model, 50%. Secondly, I want to make an analysis of whether this will be a profitable venture or not. From the NPV aspect, 50%. Then they've given you an NPV table. This can be very simply an exam question. So here you will need knowledge of the business model, which we'll discuss deeper in the pre-scene. You will need knowledge of the industry, which we are going through right now, which you will have done in my industry analysis. You will need knowledge of typing, how to type, what to type, how much to type. All of that is going to come to you at the right time, at the right pace through course. But understanding the company at its beginning and understanding why I'm making these E2, P2, F2 references for you is very important. Now coming to P2 topics. The need for compatibility between devices links to quality management practices. If you sell a product, let's say you are reselling some peripherals with refurbished laptops, but the quality of checking is not good, it will have a huge effect on your goodwill. So quality management within our business is going to be very important, especially because we are in the refurbished products market. a very important consideration is going to be IFRS 15. Now, when companies bundle PCs with peripherals, let's say we are selling peripherals and PCs as a bundle, we must apply IFRS 15 carefully, splitting the revenue between the main product and the additional items sold. This can be a situation later on that, okay, we are offering a bundled product. According to IFRS 15, how will this be recorded? You will have to split it separately. You will have to see when the obligation is ending, when the revenue should be recognized. This is your IFRS 15 5-step revenue recognition rule. Very important to have revised it. Next, we are on consumables. Now, consumables are items that are used in operation of the computers and peripherals, like paper, ink cartridges for inkjet printers, toner for laser jet printers. Very clearly, we know over here that these are low value but high volume products. They are complementary goods which will lead to higher margins if sold properly. So deeper on, we want to figure out, are we selling peripherals? Are we selling consumables? If not, this can be a thing that we dip into to extend our growth, extend our market positioning. And because we are a reseller, it will be very important for us to take into account the economic order quantity. How much of consumables to store? How much of peripherals to store? How much of laptops to buy? How many desktop PCs to buy and store in inventory before we sell them? So inventory management techniques are going to be key for our business, especially because we are a reseller. This is from P2, that is why I am bringing it up. Moving on, PCs have been fairly static in recent years. We already know this. The devices themselves are reasonably robust and can operate reliably for several years if they are handled carefully. Any PC, may it be a laptop, a desktop, or a PC, is fairly static. Devices themselves are robust. Every company is making the best possible devices that they can. So, it becomes very important to make sure that we can predict the next trend, the next market growth area for the business. Because if you look at the graph over here, you'll see that it's pretty much stagnant revenue of the Lamland retail market for PCs. So if you look at the retail market, it's closely between 7 to 8 billion only once it reached its peak at 9 billion. But otherwise, currently, and it's forecasted to also remain between, let's say, 7.5 to 8 billion, roughly. This is the retail market for PCs. They've not said whether it's refurbished PCs or new PCs. It's just the overall PCs market which is being showcased over here. Now, through my industry analysis, it's very clear that the refurbished market is growing. We don't know about the new market, but the refurbished market is definitely growing. And they've told us over here that the new market has relatively remained flat. So overall, Lamland's retail PC revenue is basically flat. It nudges up into 2021, then steps down again. That screams a mature, replacement-driven market. So if we look at the industry life cycle, it's very clearly a mature industry. Why are there growths and falls? Because of replacement. Because PCs are going to be needed. People have to replace them. There is a huge influx or huge growth when replacement cycle nears. So remember the characteristics of this market. It's mature and it's replacement driven. So from our E2 topics, if I look at the Porter's 5 forces, low growth intensifies price rivalry and buying power. Competition on price is going to be important. And again, if I look at the overall broader market, it's mature market and replacement cycles are going to be key dictator of market growths and troughs. If I look at P2, life cycle costing coming into the picture, because longer device life means fewer unit sales. Resellers need to shift margin to after-sales services, upgrades, repairs, refurbishment programs to keep this up. Now, with flat revenue, we need to double down on direct product profitability, customer profitability analysis, all of this coming from your P2 syllabus, because we want to maximize our revenue as much as possible. We will also need to forecast better, scenario better, to avoid obsolescence when the new refurbishment cycle nears. Most individuals who need a PC already have one. If we look at the next table given to us, you'll see that 17 to 18-year-olds, 90% own a PC. 18 to 24-year-olds, 70% roughly own a PC. So there is high PC ownership in every single category, which clearly means the new sales will mostly be replacements or segment specific pushes. We'll have to be very clear about this in this particular market. Segmentation, very important. Figuring out which group wants what, very important. And this segmentation allows us to understand that, okay, which customer is most important for us? Those who own 85-90% of the PCs are going to be most important for us. Or those above 80% will be most important for us. Above 70% will be second most important group. So on. So this helps us market better, focus better. This helps us understand the overall budgeting better. Very important over here is price elasticity as well. Because students and early career buyers are more price sensitive. Mid-career buyers will be wanting better value. So this segmentation helps you with price elasticity as well. This is from your P2 syllabus. Okay, let's say the company that CIMA have given us this time around is called Reset. It's a company that refurbishes PCs like laptops, desktops, and then sells it forward to customers. Now, some of us may have purchased a refurbished PC, so we know how things work. Some of us may be completely in the dark about the refurbished PCs industry or market. So then is it right to straight away pick up the pre-seen and company details that CIMA has provided when we have no background knowledge of this market, of this industry? When you are starting a new job, you always try to know about that company's industry before starting that job, right? We're doing the same thing over here. Before starting my role as a finance manager at Reset, I am trying to understand Reset's industry in the real world, in today's world, so that I am able to better relate when I start with the pre-seen analysis. So this industry background is a quick snapshot which I have created. I'm not going to ask you to learn anything, but this is just a very quick snapshot into entering the world of the pre-seen, having background of the world of the pre-seen. So when we start with the pre-seen, you can start making sense of things from the very, very onset, from the very, very beginning. So like I said, the aim is to develop an understanding of the world or the industry that our company operates in. So this information is not part of the pre-seen released by CIMA. It is only to be used before diving into the pre-seen to have a prior idea of what the refurbished desktop and laptop industry is like in the global world. So when we start with the pre-seen, you can straight away start making sense. Okay, this is what the industry was like. So this is what makes sense. This is what the industry was like. So, okay, we should be doing this within our company. Those relations you'll be able to make sense of. Let's start with our first page. This is the market overview. Obviously, I need to give you an overview, an overall bird's eye view. So this market focuses on buying, then restoring, then reselling the used desktops and laptops. You first need to procure them, then you need to change them or restore them, and then you need to sell them. So this is different to your typical manufacturing business, but it's still somewhat like manufacturing because you're buying in the input, changing it, and then selling it. It helps make technology more affordable and accessible while reducing electronic waste. Before resale, the devices are checked, repaired, tested, graded, and they often include a warranty as well, so people can trust what they are, let's say, buying. People can trust what they are getting into. So this was a background of what the refurbished market is like. The key components of this market, if you look at types of devices, is going to be laptops and desktops. Why? Because laptops are more and more portable, desktops are still used in corporate environments. If you look at sales channels, there is online and there is offline. The main way refurbished devices are sold with clear grading, clear warranties is the online marketplace. And key players in this market are going to be the people you buy these PCs from, the refurbishers, and the end users who you will sell to. So overall, this market is all about buying at the right price, changing it, applying a warranty, and then selling it at the right price. So the refurbished desktop and laptop market is growing quickly. It is expected to generate 9 billion in 2025 and 15 billion in 2030, showing a strong growth of close to 10%. So it very clearly shows that businesses within this market, like myself, like Reset, are in the right place because it's a huge market, firstly at 9 billion, and it's also growing at 10%, both of which are positive factors for me as a business. So from this market overview page, we learned what this market focuses on, the key players of this market. The market is huge and the market is growing. Up until now, you knew nothing about this industry. You came to know these 4 things on page number 1 itself in a quick way in less than 2, 3, 4 minutes. So that was an overview of the market of the refurbished PCs and desktops and laptops, PCs. Now, market overview of the PC reseller market, which means you're buying altogether new PCs and selling them. Remember, you're not a retailer. This market is where you buy surplus inventory, new units, unsold due to overstock or end of line, new models coming up. So old gets completely outdated. These are bought by somebody and then sold. That's the job of a reseller. The reseller also sells returns and display units. In showrooms, there are display units, right? These display units get sold as well to resellers who will then work on them a little bit and sell them forward to customers. This is the reseller market. So when we go to the pre-scene, we want to see, okay, our company does reselling, our company does refurbishing, they do both. We need to keep this in mind, and that is why this analysis is also being provided for you. Now, reselling doesn't mean refurbished. Reselling is different and refurbished is different. Reselling is maybe buying completely new packed and reselling it, but it's out of line, out of date, it's a little bit old, new upgrade has come up. Let's say this iPhone 17 comes out. So the 16 is not sold by Apple, but you'll still see it being sold on different websites. That's resellers. They've bought the 16 stock and they're selling it to you. That's reselling. Refurbishing is something old, make it or try to make it new, repair it, and then sell it. These are 2 different markets. So growth here will depend on how manufacturers manage inventory. You'll have to have good relationship if you're a reseller with manufacturers, with other retailers, so that you can get these display pieces, these unsold pieces. Overall, if you look at both the markets of, let's say, the refurbishing and the reselling, Refurbishing is the stronger market with bigger volumes and bigger market size, but it has little bit less profitability. Reselling might have a little bit more profitability, but overall the market for refurbishing is larger. For resale players, there is a scale that there is a risk that supply won't be enough. They depend on supply of unsold stock, which is finite. It's not never ending. So supply scarcity is an issue. Price erosion is an issue. The resale prices may drop quickly. So the price that they bought for might earn a very less profit for them if the prices drop quickly. And there is obviously logistics and storage costs which also need to be considered for resale players. The drivers in the resale market is people are still looking at these products because they will offer entry into a relatively old product but at a good price. There is lower risk over here because customers are more confident that at least it's packed. At least it's almost in new consideration. And customers' trust and warranty, sometimes it's also offered on these resale products, which gives trust to the customers. So just breaking this market as a whole, you will have a resale, you will have a reseller, and you will have a refurbisher. When we go to the pre-scene, we'll check, do we do resale, do we do refurbishing, do we do both? Overall, an analysis has been provided in this industry analysis for you to continue on. Overall, I have also tried to focus on the refurbishing market because that is the larger market, that is the market which has growth. But I have provided a bird's eye view of everything which we are learning from in this industry analysis. So, the market is moving, growing at 10%. Why is it growing? It's growing because of driving factors. It's growing because of factors which are pushing the market upwards. What are these factors? Cost savings and affordability. So refurbished devices are 30 to 70% cheaper than the new ones, helping individuals, schools, businesses stretch budgets. Organizations running large device fleets save 20 to 40% if they go for refurbished devices. So overall, the cost of refurbished devices is pushing the market forward. So cost. Second, sustainability. Mandatory environmental reporting has made circular IT procurement a core priority. Companies like Dell and Lenovo are leading with large-scale reuse and recycle programs. So more and more people are becoming, let's say, environmental conscious. They want to buy from sustainable companies. They want to source sustainable products. Refurbishing means you are saving on e-waste, right? So first driving factor was cost. Second was sustainability goals. Third, the end of Windows 10 updates in October 2025 is driving massive hardware upgrade. About 40% of enterprise laptops will be replaced, creating a surge of quality used devices for refurbishment, with Windows 11 certified units selling at a premium during the 2025-2026 cycle. The old Windows support is ending, so all Windows laptops will need to upgrade if they want safety, new features. This is a driving factor. More and more laptops are now AI enabled. So there are huge trade-in programs. There are huge refurbishment programs where laptops are being refurbished with new chipsets, with new AI enabled possibilities. All of this is pushing the market forward. So cost, sustainability, Windows upgrade, and AI upgrades. When I go to the pre-scene, I want to see what is my company doing in terms of these upgrades. What is my company doing in terms of these driving factors? How are we capturing these driving factors? Because if we capture these driving factors, we can also grow at 10% because the market is growing at close to 10%.
Next, we will turn into quality. If a question on quality arises, you are likely to be asked about total quality management, TQM, and whether it should reset. Now, quality is absolutely central to reset's success. Customers trust Reset to deliver PCs that work reliably, that match the description on the website, and that arrive quickly and securely. A single bad experience can harm that trust, especially when customers are wary of buying refurbished products. So, what about TQM? What are the benefits of implementing TQM? The benefits are very clear. It enables us to better service consistency, fewer customer complaints, and higher customer satisfaction. But we also have to be realistic about the challenges. TQM requires strong systems and a culture of continuous improvement. Does Reset have that in place? The pre-scene suggests that there is already a strong process in the inventory department, but rolling TQM out across all the departments would demand commitment and time from management. And that is not always easy in a fast moving competitive market. TQM also requires ongoing attention. Management would need to commit resources to reviewing processes, training staff, and measuring performance continuously. That level of effort can be demanding, but it may be worthwhile given how central quality is to customer confidence. And alongside TQM, we should also think about business process reengineering, or BPR. This is about stepping back and redesigning processes from scratch to achieve big improvements. For Red, that could mean radically rethinking the refurbishment process or redesigning the website and call center workflow to deliver faster, smoother service. If it's done well, BPR can help cut costs, speed up our operations, and improve both efficiency and customer satisfaction. It's going to be a bold but a transformative move if done correctly. So, when you're preparing for the exam, make sure that you can explain both TQM and BPR, their benefits, and the challenges of applying them in Reset's context. And always remember to connect your answer to both the unseen and the pre-seen material. That is what the examiner will be looking for. Right. Now let us move on to some other cost management techniques and see how they will apply to Reset. First, let us consider target costing. At its simplest, target costing starts with the market. We set a price based on what the customers are willing to pay. Then we decide on the profit margin we need, and that gives us a target cost that we have to achieve for our products. For Reset, this approach is particularly useful because we are competing on price as well as quality. Customers come to Reset expecting affordable yet reliable PCs, peripherals, and consumables. Target costing means we set selling prices that are attractive to customers while still ensuring we can meet our margin of requirements. Of course, the challenge here is that traditionally, businesses work by calculating costs first and then adding a margin to arrive at a selling price. Target costing flips that around, and it can be tricky if the target cost is hard to achieve. For example, to meet a target cost, Reset might need to find new suppliers, negotiate harder with existing suppliers, or even look at ways to reduce refurbishment and processing costs. But there is a risk. If we cut too deep, we could compromise the quality that customers expect. Remember, Reset's reputation depends on PCs being correctly tested, refurbished, and classified. Any compromise here could harm customer trust and long-term brand value. Now, let us turn towards value chain analysis. This tool helps us to take a step back and look at the whole business process, not just the pricing. We analyze both primary activities such as buying, inventory checks, refurbishment, sales, and customer service, and the support activities like marketing, finance, and HR. The aim is to identify which activities adds real value for our customers and which activities simply drain our resources. For example, detailed product descriptions and secure data wiping adds real value because they build customer confidence. On the other hand, duplicated administration work or delays in updating inventory records could be areas that we can streamline or even outsource. Value chain analysis gives us a clearer picture of where our money is well spent and where there may be inefficiencies. This helps reset focus investment in the activities that strengthen our customer offering while reducing or eliminating those that don't add enough value.
The next aspect we're going to talk about, so we spoke about HR. So we're still talking about people. E2 is a lot about people, but we're going to talk about teams within the organization. So again, you need to understand how teams work within the organization. So we have different departmental structures, and they are indirectly different teams within the organization. And we can see there are dependencies between different teams. For an example, the inventory department informs the buying department of any problems with incoming goods. Why? The buying department buys them, but the inventory department probably gets to know about any issues. Then the inventory control system links to the sales website, ensuring that goods are available before a customer order is accepted. So a customer order to be accepted, there has to be a communication between the inventory control and the sales department through the website. Now, this tells us that there is interdependence between departments or interdependence between teams. So when you talk about interdependence between teams, you need to make sure communication breakdowns are minimized, because there can be communication breakdowns. So effective communication is vital. Technological coordination. So coordination from even a technological point is very important to make sure things go well. And to do this, however, to make sure there is cross-functional collaboration and innovation. So collaboration and innovation, we need to make sure that the organizational structure permits that. So our organizational structure should ideally be a flat organizational structure that promotes effective communication, promotes coordination, promotes collaboration. So this brings us to the aspect of working across teams, communicating across teams of the organization. Further points given in your pre-scene, so we spoke about some of the points above. Further points in the pre-scene, a senior manager in the inventory department has been appointed as Reset Sustainability Champion and is expected to spend 2 working days each month working on sustainability matters. So possible issues, having a team for sustainability. So not just one person, but a team to handle sustainability within the organization. Then logistics are managed well. So to minimize carbon emissions or to go to net zero carbon by 2030, again, a sustainability team. So these are, earlier we were talking about teams within the departmental realm. Now a little bit about teams, cross-functional teams to promote other goals or to achieve other project outcomes like sustainability. Other than sustainability can be quality teams. There can be different teams within the organization. So these teams have to work together, make sure the conflicting or competing objectives are somehow managed and the goal of the team is met. So, for an instance, we are establishing a team for total quality management. First of all, how can an effective team be formed? So, this is what you need to remember when it comes to an effective team. Having effective team members, the correct balance of skills, the correct number, having a good leader, a good system to motivate team members to work within the team, amongst many other. So it's not really a very theoretical question. It's something you should think and give an answer. So if you feel like you can't think too much about it, just think. For people, assume you want to achieve something. It could be any simple thing. To achieve it, you have a team. If that team is to achieve the goal, what are certain characteristics the team should have? And that will be indirectly giving you points to answer such a subtask. Next, how can we effectively resolve conflicts? So, how do you handle conflicts? People having conflicts, how are those resolved, or how are conflicts minimized? Sometimes having a good system where you can raise concerns, clear understanding. Then what skills should the leader possess? So the leader becomes basically the backbone or the main person gearing and navigating the team. So a good leader is essential for a good outcome. The navigator, in a sense. So if the leader doesn't navigate the team in the correct direction, if the leader is not quick to handle situations, now you're going to have an issue there. So definitely, a good leader is very important. Next, cost of capital. Now, whether we're getting new equity, whether we're getting new debt, our cost of capital is likely to change, our weighted average cost of capital. Now, these are the steps to calculate the weighted average cost of capital, but it's very unlikely that your examiner will tell you, okay, calculate. But rather, your examiner will want to see how you understand weighted average cost of capital. How do you understand how it is computed, the problems with it, or when can we use the weighted average cost of capital? This is what the examiner is interested in. So, assuming we're thinking of investing in something and we want to calculate our NPV and we want to know if our current weighted average cost of capital is appropriate. So, to know if it's still appropriate and if we don't have to change it, generally, our capital structure shouldn't change. If our capital structure, that is our debt to equity proportions change, weighted average cost of capital has to change. What about the risk profile of this investment or this project? If the risk profile is higher, we need to change. We need to reflect that in our new weighted average cost of capital. Then how big is the investment? Is it a small, marginal investment or very big? So if it's marginal, we can use the same cost of capital. But if it's big, our cost of capital will change. Now, the problems or the limitations with weighted average cost of capital is sometimes there are certain loans that don't have a market value, especially we're talking about not being listed. We might not have, or we're not quoted, we might not be able to evaluate our cost of equity. So practical limitations of not being able to calculate an accurate weighted average cost of capital is there. So if we look at IFRS 16 leases, so we might need to finance some kind of equipment for our operations, for our warehouse, equipment that help us refurbish some of the PCs we get, or even for a future expansion. So then finance leases, operating leases are likely. Now, if it's an operating lease, it's a simple expense. We don't need to think too much about it. But if it's a finance lease, there is more. You need to apply IFRS 16. Apply IFRS 16. You need to recognize a right of use asset. And you need to recognize the lease liability. And most likely, you will also need to look at how the asset will be initially recorded in the books, what is the depreciation you would record and maintain in the books. So, That is IFRS 16 and questions that you could be tested based on it. Next, IAS 38, intangible assets. So in your pre-scene, you have a lot of intangible assets that you could understand or see through what's given, the quality. All of these act as intangible assets, the reputation we have. But specifically, the statement of financial position includes intangible assets as one item under non-current assets. It's not changed year on year. However, it could change. We could, for an example, generate a new intangible asset through maybe our own software, or we might even purchase something that will be an intangible asset. Either way, IAS 38 is very applicable. So here, assuming we either acquired a competitor and we got some of their intellectual property, or we are developing a new app, a new technology, AI, whatever it is, we need to consider IAS 38. So first of all, identify the cost of a purchased intangible asset. So if we purchase an intangible asset, then we need to identify how much that asset is, the cost of that asset. So the price of the purchase and any other directly attributable cost. So price plus directly attributable cost need to be considered when we talk about the intangible asset we purchase. Now, what about if we are generating that intangible asset, or so before that, we have to think of the subsequent measurement. So for the subsequent measurement, we'll either use the cost or the revaluation model. So when it comes to the cost model, we will carry the intangible asset at cost less amortization and any impairment. This is what's most commonly used. But if it's the revaluation model, you would every time, if there's an active market that exists and you want to carry it at its fair value, you will every time evaluate what the value is and you will include it. So that is the revaluation model. It's less common to the cost model. Now, what about if you develop your own technology? We do research and development, and we develop our new technology. So research is not, we cannot capitalize it. We have to recognize it as an expense. But development, on the other hand, if it meets certain criteria. So to be specific, 6 criterions, then we can capitalize it. So what are these 6 criterions? First of all, whatever we are developing, we should be able to use it or sell it. If we can't use it, if we can't sell it, there is no use. Next, we should plan to complete it. We should be able to make a reliable measurement of the cost incurred. Then whatever we are developing should be technically feasible. We should have the needed resources to complete it, and we should expect certain future benefits. So if these criteria are met, yes, we can capitalize it as an intangible asset. But if they are not, then we have to write it off as an expense, just as we do with research expense. So that is about intangible assets.
By now, you've probably figured out that we provide specialized preparation courses for CIMA Management Case Study. These are led by experienced tutors who focus exclusively on case study exams, so you're in safe hands. I know that preparing for MCS can feel overwhelming. There's a lot to cover, a lot to write, and it's hard to know where to start. But here's the good news. You don't have to do it alone. We've developed a range of tailored packages designed to guide you step by step, so whether you're starting early or playing catch-up, there's an option that fits your needs. Let's start with the Essential package. This is perfect if you are looking for a strong, affordable foundation. You'll get our present analysis set, theory revision materials, and 3 full mock exams along with 15 writing tasks to practice specific skills. It's a great option if you want to go at your own pace and start building your confidence without too much pressure. Next up is the advanced package, which adds up an extra layer of support. You'll get everything from the essential package, plus 2 extra mocks, so you have 5 in total, and 1 mock marking service by our tutors. And also from this level onward, we also include our key issues video, which pinpoints the most likely topics and issues and concerns that could come up based on the pre-scene. This helps you narrow your focus and feel confident that you're working on what really matters, not trying to revise everything just in case. Then we have the master package, which is our most popular option. It includes everything from the previously mentioned packages and goes even further. You'll get 6 mocks in total, you'll get marking for 3 of them, and access to our exclusive past exam question repository. This is a treasure trove of real questions from previous sittings categorized by topic and syllabus area. Why is it so useful? Because case study exams often repeat themes. Seeing how questions have been framed and tested before helps you understand examiner patterns and spot opportunities to pre-prepare your thinking. And finally, we have the ultimate package. You'll get absolutely everything from the master package, plus an extra mock, get 7 mocks to practice in total, and 5 mock marking services, and 3 personal one-to-one sessions with our tutor. Those sessions are basically being done via Zoom. These sessions are your chance to get tailored feedback, ask specific questions, and build confidence with expert guidance. It's the ideal choice if you want that personal support, or maybe if this is your repeat sitting and you want to give it your all. So, no matter your budget, timeline, or confidence level, we've got you covered. All of our MCS packages follow a clear, structured path that matches the actual exam style, and everything is designed to take the pressure off and guide you to success. If you are ready to get started, just head to practicetestacademy.com/MCS and let's get your exam prep on track. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope this gave you clarity, structure, and the confidence to move forward with your MCS preparation. Remember, this exam isn't about perfection, it's about progress. You don't have to know everything, you just need to apply what you do know in a structured, professional way. And we're here to help you build those skills step by step. Whichever package you choose, know that you are not doing this alone. We've got expert tutors, proven materials, and a clear plan to follow. So trust the process, stay consistent, and believe in your ability to pass. You've got this, and we are here with you all the way. Now, let's take the next step. Let's get you MCS ready. Thank you for watching and good luck!